the length of my fabric, the width of my fabric, that's the buckram. That's the buckram from here to here. Right, so the width of my fabric was 107.25. The width of my window is 79 inches. These are in inches. So then what I did is I took away, no, before I took it away, then what I did is, because this is only half of the curtain, one side, my window is a whole of the window. So what I had to do is divide my window and cut it in two. So I did that, and that became 39.5. So we scratch that. So my window now is 39.5, which is half of the window. The other half, of course, is, yeah? Me with 67.5. So that 67.5, that is what I'm now going to play around with for my pleats. So that's my pleats. Yeah? Leftover, which is the 39.5 is 50, is now my spacing. So that's my space. Alright. Then I showed you on the video, I put my hand to give me a rough idea how many pleats I can roughly fit within that whole space. Right? And it came out to around 20 with my hand. But what I did is I want an uneven number. We work on this on uneven numbers. Right? So then I brought it down to 19. Uneven. Then what I did, okay, 19, so that means how many pleats can I get out of 19 spaces? So what I did then is I said 19 spaces, that means I'm going to have 10 pleats, no, 9 pleats and 10 spaces. It adds up to 19. So from my pleats, I wanted 9 pleats. So I want 9 pleats. And my space, I want 10 pleats. Just 10 will do. 10 pleats. 10 space. So 9 and 10 is 19 pleats. Then I had to work out the sizing of my pleats. Do I want it even or not? But when I worked it out, I got my pleats here to be 7.5. And then I got my pleats here to be 7.5 inches. And this was 4 inches. And I thought, okay, 7.5, but I like my pleats to be a little bit further apart. So what I did is I juggled the figures and I got rid of it and I moved it up. So I round up my 7.5 and I just said, okay, I'm going to make my pleats, each one of my pleats are going to be 7 inches. And then my spacing is now going to be 5 inches. Right, that's what I did. But bearing in mind this point of my curtain which is going to meet the center of the other curtain, this is the center. I don't want this to be my spacing 5 inches. The corner here to be 5 inches and 5 inches. Because when you put the two together, you'll have 10-inch gap there, whereby everything else will be 5, 4, 5, 7, 4, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5. So that wouldn't look good. So what I then did is, my first point here is I made that to, it should have been 2.5 inches, because half of 5 is 2.5. But I didn't want exact 2.5. Why? Just in case on some occasion I'm able to overlap these curtains, at least when the time it overlap, it'll work out to be 5-inch gap. So I gave it a 3-inch there, right? So what I gave here, I also give it at the end. So it was 3-inch there and 3-inch there. So I started my calculation with 3-inch, then I then continue on for 7-inch, then 5, 7, 5, 7, and so on, until I got to the end. It gave me 3-inch, and then by the time I finished, I had these two, this gap here, this 3 inches and this 3 inches make a whole, because they're two half. So we say that is half and that is half. That's 1, and then I started counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the whole lot came up to 19 spaces, which is divided into 7 inches and 5 inches. And then as well, what I did is my 39 inches is my safeguard, which is the size of the window. But do not make it exact to the size of your window. What you will find is, when you've made it exact, you will find that when you close the curtains, it will close, but after a period of years, the buckram gets cold and it's stiff, and it starts to have a U shape. So it's always, because it's always, the majority of the time, it spends its time inwards, then when you open it, it keeps bouncing back in. So the curtains will always open up slightly and leave you that gap in the middle. So at night time, instead of having your curtain fully drawn, it always opens back up itself. It's like it's a spring and it bounces back. So that's why I always make my curtains either side more than the actual window, so that when it does bounce back, it's not going to affect it, because there's enough fabric in it for it to look glorious. So use that as a tip. Do not make it exact to your window size. Make it, well, I've done here, I've made it 5 inches bigger. I sometimes would even do 10 inches just to make sure, because it's lovely when it's got all that pleats. It's not even going to be noticed. Yeah? I hope you understand this calculation. Let's go over. Here's what I did. There are the two curtains. Here's the top bit. Here you can see a pin going across. Wherever there's a pin going across, that's where the space is. Can you see the pin there? And the pin there. So that's my space, which was 5 inches. There's my space, which is 7 inches. So we've got space, which this first one is 3 inches, right? Because if my space is 5 inches, then half of that's supposed to be 2.5, which is here. But I allowed an extra because just in case it overlaps, which is very unusual to get anything that's on a pole with a center bracket in between to overlap. That's a nuisance. So here we have all the way down, and on the other side you will see the pin is there as well, the space, and the pins are up the top here, right, which is a mirror image. So all the way along, all the way, you've got space, pleat, space, pleat, space, pleat, space, pleat, all the way along. And then now it's ready for me to top stitch here along, and then when I've top stitched that on both sides, then I will start pleating them. So in effect, when I am pleating it, the two